But yeah, I feel the same. Sometimes I'm just like walking around and I'll like looking at nature. I'm walking around and then I'm like, thank you, God. And I'll like start tearing up and crying. It's the weirdest thing, but it's almost like this, yet it's that emotion of, I think, connecting with God. But I feel like connecting with God is also like the more I've loved myself and
Mm-hmm.
accepted
Mm-hmm.
myself, because God created me, how can I then be like, ugh, this doesn't look good, or
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God, I'm fat, or
yeah.
whatever you say
Or
to
how could
yourself,
you
or
have
like,
done that,
yeah,
or things
a
like
lot
that.
of
Yes,
that,
yeah,
yeah, more, yeah, maybe
yes,
not more, but like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like
God,
the yeah, criticizing.
yeah, or like, oh my God, you're so lazy sometimes, or oh my God,
Yes,
whatever it is.
yeah.
If I'm critiquing that, I'm critiquing like what God made in a perfect way, and not that we are always perfect in our actions,
Mm-hmm.
but like we're His biggest and best and most amazing creation. Welcome back to the Delulu Magic Podcast. I'm Paola.
And I'm Gabby.
And we're so excited to have you here with us today on our day talking about faith.
Oh my gosh, it's April, guys. It's April, and
Back to being Easter, or
yes, about
Resurrection Sunday,
yeah,
as I now
as
call.
she has learned. I'm so proud of her. She is digging deep into her research and
I am.
finding what it all means.
I am.
Tell me about your journey with it this year, since we're gonna wrap up with basically Easter, I guess.
Yes. And I think if
Yeah.
people have listened, they kind of know I grew up Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of just like, I felt like it was so performative. I think that's what I realized.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tell me to do something, I'm the type of person I want to like do the opposite. If you tell
Yes.
me no, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And so I felt like it was just so like pushed on me. And then even like the feeling of, in Spanish, or like, right, for
Mm-hmm.
my
Mi culpa, mi
yeah,
culpa.
mi culpa.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
That
how they
you're
say that
you're
in
the
English. I
sinner.
don't know
Yeah,
how they say
it's
the
my
prayer
fault.
in
My
English.
fault. It's yeah, because you're the bad one.
And I'm like,
So the
why?
shame.
I don't want to
Oh,
do.
the shame.
Yeah.
Almost like when you since when you're little.
And then I had, in college, I was like, I would try, but it was like, it was never, again, I guess what you think it's supposed to be. So
Mm-hmm.
now finally in my
Yeah.
40s, I feel like, after you take some tumbles,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're like really like and now I'm grateful for those times where I felt so alone, or so like in despair,
Mm-hmm.
that what do you do? I was like, God, like, what are we gonna do here? Like, talk to me. And I think even through meditating, I really like started connecting. And so now over the past year, it's like been exactly a year, and I don't think I had been to church in probably like 10 years before
Mm-hmm.
that, unless
Mm-hmm.
it was like somebody's baptism, or
Mm-hmm.
like,
Oh, what?
a
Yeah.
wedding or something
An
like
event.
that. And I finally went just by myself last year for Easter, and I've gone a couple times since. But I was telling you that I
Yeah.
want to take the kids this year, and it's interesting. It's definitely a balance of me feeling this super like love for God, and just everything He's done for me,
Mm-hmm.
and just and seeing Him in everything. But I also understand that that wasn't who I was for the past 20 years, let's say,
Uh-huh.
for my family.
Yes.
And so I think it's definitely new, and I also don't want to be like, guys, let me tell you everything I'm learning. I have stuff in the house like now, little like Psalms cards, and I'm like, oh, I just put them out so that they could see it.
Stop by and read the Bible verse, please.
Yeah, I
Get in
have
touch
the
with
book that you
yourself.
gave me that I read in the
Yes.
morning. It's the
A
first thing that I
devotional.
read.
Yes.
And now I understand. I understand what people, before that they'd be like, their relationship with God, and I'm like, okay, like that sounds nice, but I guess I just,
Yeah.
I don't understand how you develop that. And I think it's just something that innately happens, and I think it always happens at the right time when you need it.
Yes.
So part of
Mm-hmm.
me wants to say, "Oh, I wish I would have discovered this back in my 20s. Like my life probably would have been a little bit
Mm-hmm.
easier to think, hey, there's something that's always holding you. There's something that's always got you. It's not just like you out here all alone." Um, but at the same time, I think I needed to go through everything to get to this point.
To find that
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah, to find that connection in the right way. But I think the performative part really got me. And growing up
It
Catholic,
did
I
that.
don't know if that was something that you kind of felt as
Well, I
well.
mean, I found out they call it like cradle Catholics, right? Because you're born into this,
Yeah.
like, right. So we didn't really get a choice. We born, you're baptized, and then you
Yeah.
get raised through all the performative stuff. And that's all I knew. But I remember just being little and being like, okay, well, this is what you do, repetitive, 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 which is almost like a form of practice now when I see it, right? Then I got older, had my kids, and I also put them into that, and I was just repeating it. But there wasn't really, I know it was like a practice, but I don't know how much necessarily. I always half believed. Like that's how it felt in those years, right? My 20s and all that. And I have a lot of friends that would be like, I could see that. And I always was like, why? How did you get that? How do you feel it?
Yeah.
And I found as I got older, my kids we went from Catholic, we went to a Christian, they went to Christian school, and there was a lot of confusion because, again, I don't know, my ADHD brain, whatever, it was trying to find like meaning somewhere, finding connection, right? And that didn't come also until till I got fucking broken. Like it was like I had to like literally surrender and be like, and that was like deeply personal stuff that I will say, things that happened with one of my kids, things that happened like my dad getting sick, just there was a lot of family stuff, and I had nowhere else to turn. I mean, and I have my therapist, I have my friends, but I was like, okay, like there's something that I'm missing, right? And once I realized that, when I went there, and then I was like, okay, and then I started actually, when I was going through the stuff with my son, I have a beautiful group of friends that are very Christian, but they took me in, and I went to church with them for a couple of times. And I was held by people, and I cried, and I just remember I was like, okay, this is God here, because these people don't know me. These people are like, just, I'm able to see and sit here and know that I'm going to be okay. And I wasn't the people I was thinking I'm okay. It was just something higher.
Yeah.
Right. And then as time went, I mean, I've dabbled into so many things too. Like I've always felt like a calling. Like I love like the Buddhist stuff. Like I'm, with my morbid self, that I love that we're the impermanence of it all. How you have to look at like, you're going to die, and then you can actually live, like that kind of stuff, right? And then I the spiritual side now, like even going into plant medicine, like having that, going to the deep meditations where you're able to kind of have a little bit of transcendence is what it feels like, right? And it's so woo-woo, but it all connects in the end to my faith, which is, very separate from the religion. Like what you're talking about, both of us, I think we were just both raised in such a performative kind of way, and we didn't understand it because you didn't really get a choice, right? And then your brain starts to, I think, like our left side and all that, start fighting like, is that really, should I be full of shame? Should I be like,
like
feeling
this
like I'm this sinner since
me.
I was it never sat well. But then now I have found, almost like now going back, and now in this age, I do a lot of reading, and it all always ends up connecting to that, like my gratitude, my, being present and being like, okay, really honoring that why I was made for, who made me, which is, higher power, to me is God. And then just putting it out there, like this guys, this year has been a lot of like, okay, it's in your hands. I mean, and I felt almost like shame because I didn't know how to pray. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yes.
Because I have friends that I'm like, oh my gosh, they speak so beautifully, all this stuff. But then I'm like, you know what? It's just me and you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you, and I don't know, but here it is. And I got to go to sleep. So help me figure this out. And really, actually, like, I'm finding a lot this year that just keep practicing it, right? Just doing like I do like the same devotional we share that another friend shared with me. And then I started reading the Bible, and then the Bible, I'll find like parts that I'm really interested in. And then I'm like, you know what? This is too much for me, because it's a lot of death, guys. A lot of that. I'm like, but we have been bad people since the beginning, obviously, humanity. So that is like the practice has led me to like feeling, right? Yeah. And then like, believing it is what I mean, like believing more and more in it, that I'm like, okay, I get it. And it's like almost in my body, like a release.
Yeah.
And going into the gratitude. So I have the feeling. So I get really emotional. I mean, I listen to worship music most like 3 times a week now. Like I do it in Spanish because I really find it beautiful. And I mean, I will cry in the car.
I know. I don't know.
It's like,
I'm telling
so
you, I don't know who we are. I'm like, God, you were so good. Like you were, and it's crazy because I feel like right when we were going through our periods of despair, for me, I would say I can't even remember. I don't even remember who that person is.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to relate to
her,
that identity and that story that I had created around like things that were happening, right? Which were super bad. I think we've all been through really bad things, whether it's breakup or super money losses. but you get stuck in that. You forget what really is truly important and valuable, which
Yeah.
is right, your family, your health, like your
Yeah.
connection, I think, with God, and that like uplifts you. But yeah, I feel the same. Sometimes I'm just like walking around and I'll like looking at nature. I'm walking around and I'm like, thank you, God, and I'll like start tearing up and crying. It's the weirdest thing, but it's almost like this. Yet it's that emotion of, I think, connecting with God, but I feel like connecting with God is also like the more I've loved myself and accepted myself, because God created me, how can I then be like, ugh, this doesn't look good, or
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm fat,
Yeah.
or whatever you say
Or
to
how could
yourself,
you
or
have
like,
done that?
yeah,
Or things
a
like
lot
that.
of
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, more, yeah, maybe
Yes.
not more, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
God,
the criticizing.
yeah, or like, oh my God, you're so lazy sometimes, or oh my God,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
If I'm critiquing that, I'm critiquing like what God made in a perfect way, and not that we are always perfect in our actions, but like we're his biggest and best and most amazing creation. So we're amazing,
In
and I
his
think the
image.
more, yeah, that we
Yeah.
love ourselves, then I feel like the more that I have felt connected to him. And even in learning the things that, like, in the Bible is just so crazy. And again, this is from somebody that was like I don't even want to
Rejected
say, yeah, it was like literally, is the Bible real? Because it's written by man, so how can it, I would have
the
so
resistance
many,
was there.
so
I know.
many
Me too.
doubts,
Me too.
and oh, is that right, and how do you know, like, show me. But I
Yes.
think that is faith, that is
Yeah.
right. Almost even the with Delulu magic,
Yes.
right, it was
Yes. Yeah.
acting in a way that you can't even see that, or what you're going to achieve, or what you're going to attract,
Yeah.
but being like, I'm going to act as if. But I think it's having that faith in God that, yes, I cannot physically see him, but I do feel like that connection. And now I feel like I can hear. I always used
Yeah.
to think it was like hearing like the physical. I'm like, you know me. I was a person that would compare
Yeah.
myself in a way of, what was your experience compared to my experience?
Why am I
Right?
not
We did
having it? Yes.
meditation at
Yeah.
Awake, and I'm like, what did you feel versus what I've, oh, you felt it stronger. I must have not done it right. But even in that, I would ask people, like
Yeah.
certain friends that we have, I'm like, well, how do you hear him? Like, is it
Yeah.
a voice, or is it like a thought? And if it's a thought, then how do
It's-
you know that it's him
you-
and not
and
like
yours.
just your thought? It was like such of
Yes.
the control that I was like, I need like an exact book to tell me how I'm supposed to experience it, and then I'll know. But I think that's backwards. It's whatever your experience is with God and with that connection, and that will always continue evolving.
Yeah, and the more you learn, so the practice, right?
Yeah.
The practice of what you're doing is what you've done. You went to church last year. You started going to do. You've learned more. So now I think that opens up that door for us to have to really go in and be like, okay, here's the meaning. Here is what I'm looking for. Because at the end of the day, all the other stuff which we love and it matters, the material, all other things, the physical, it's not really it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we want to believe, I have a good friend that stuck with me forever, and I think I mentioned that to you, what she said, but it was like, I want to be able to know that in the next whatever afterlife, I will have connection to my children, to my husband. Like, that is important to me, and that I know through God that I'm going to be able to have that. So I remember just thinking, like, how do you know that? Like, how do you, but then I see it, right? Like, once you find the connection and what it means to be truly living in like a faith-based life, and that there's so much meaning to it, right? There's just like the meaning of how we love our people, like all the stuff, and even let's say what your purpose is. But if you have that, there's just, you can have, and doesn't mean that you're not going to suffer, because I've realized
Yeah.
that, because I think there was a window that I was like, I did have that, and I will speak about it, but it was like I lost somebody very young, and who was like a brother to me, my cousin. And I remember I was angry. I was angry. I was angry for years. And I remember we would go to like mass, and I would say it and be like, yeah, whatever. If you, why? Like, to God, like,
Yeah.
my anger was that, and my resistance really like took over, because, and then fast forward, I lost another cousin in my 40s. And I think I was in a softer place, that I was like, okay, God, I get it. There's nothing that we could have done to prevent, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of guilt when you lose somebody young, when you a loved one, that not that when people are older, but there is something to be said about that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in a much softer place, because I had already started to open up to understanding that I couldn't blame
Yeah.
God for the human things, because we are that's a big thing that I am very like uh aware of. Like, there's gonna be suffering, we're gonna lose
Yeah.
people, we're gonna lose, shit's gonna happen, and your faith will get you through it,
Mm-hmm.
is what I have found, right? Even if everything else, you can have it, but if you have the, like, what is it, the
The
faith of
grain, yeah,
the
of a mustard
of a
seed.
mustard seed, like
We would
that.
go quote in scripture, but we never quote it quite right. We're like, what is that?
This is
It's
what
kind of
we're
like
still
that.
learning. I mean, one day we will be, when you hear us quoting,
I'll be like, and in
right?
Psalm 3:11, it'll
I
say this,
can't.
but
I
I don't
mean, I
know.
do have a
I don't
lot
know.
of highlighted stuff, but I know what it means when I see it, right? When I read it. So knowing that understanding really deep in your body that you are going to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that something has you, and
Yeah.
besides yourself, because it ties back to a lot of us, what we've talked about a lot here with me, with the control that I could, like my husband told me the other day, you can't fix everything.
Yeah.
And I literally was looking at him like, but I can't. Felt so challenged.
But
And then I had to like tell my mind, I was like, you can't. It's okay to say I can't. But
Yeah.
my eyes got full of water. Like, I felt like,
why are you saying this to me?
It's like,
Why would you hurt me like
I
this?
felt like, I was like, you're right, because it's not mine all to fix, that I have to always, sometimes,
Yeah.
most of the time, really give it to God and be able to say daily, hey, I'm doing the best I can. I'm honoring the purpose of who I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And really having faith even without seeing.
Yeah.
Because whenever I go forward and backwards, I'm like, there's been more than me controlling and
Yeah.
creating these things, right?
Yeah.
There's more happening in my life because of God.
It's nice to be able to hand it over. I'm hand over stuff all the time now. I'm like, God, I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I like physically, I'll be like, here you go. I don't know.
Good
And-
night. See you
but it helps
tomorrow.
me sleep better. Like,
But that's how it's supposed to be.
and I also feel like that control, right, that you're talking about.
Yes.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
I've had it too, and I feel like God sits there and probably like watching is like, well, you think it's gonna work out in this way. You have to have it go this way.
Mhm.
So
That's
like,
control.
okay, like,
Go on.
but when you're ready to surrender, and
Yeah.
I think that's such a word that I definitely had trouble with
Yeah.
our controlling.
But because here's what I'm gonna say. I thought surrendering meant giving up.
Just
Like, if I surrender, it means I'm giving up of whatever, that I can't fix it, that I'm not able to do my gifts of, doing whatever in whatever situation, which is stupid, right? But surrender is very different. It's very
so what
like,
is it?
it's not giving up. I think it's just
giving
really
it over.
feeling giving over,
Yeah.
and actually realizing that hey, I am gonna be okay with giving it over to my faith, to like,
Yeah.
okay, allowing that unknown and like being okay with it without questioning it.
Mhm.
Because when I control it, then I supposedly know how it's all going to turn out.
And I almost think we miss our blessings in that.
Yes.
At least I know I have,
Yes.
right? Where there's a certain opportunity that comes a certain way, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's going to look like this because I want to control it. And I'm like, this is how it has to go, well, for whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And then you might miss a blessing because God will do like just some crazy, weird thing, weird way that you wouldn't have thought that would come about. And that was really a much bigger opportunity or a much bigger blessing than the little small thing that you were thinking, right? Because I think he also always wants to give us the biggest and the best, but sometimes we don't allow it because we're so like focused on this other thing that wasn't yours to begin with. And now I'll say it all day. I'm telling you, my mom be cracking up because I'm like, if it's for you, it's for you. And before I'd be like, no, like I will make it happen. My ego.
Yeah.
And I
see.
and
There's
I
the surrender.
understand the
You
whole
see?
humbly,
Yes,
like when
the
they talk
humble
about
pie.
the Bible, yeah, in the Bible about like being humble. That I feel like I was humble like with people, but I also was like, this is all my doing. Everything that I've generated. Yes, God has had me, but whose work? I was out there working. Like and I think I also was trying to instill that in the kids, like, oh, hard work is important and
That's what
focus.
matters.
But really, I wouldn't have anything if it weren't for God. And I think I had the opportunity to see that, and it was like, if you can have all the material things, but if you don't have a relationship or just something stronger, or a connection, you're not fulfilled. Like I finally get when people were like, oh, you get to this next level, but you still feel kind of unfulfilled. I'm like, yeah, that was, and I feel like when you have that connection with God, I finally feel like just fulfilled even with whatever I have.
Yeah,
So it's very,
because we're like content, and you have found like peace,
yeah,
almost like, right? Because the eternal search is because there's an emptiness, because it's a void, right? A void word that you need
that you're
something
trying
to
to
fill,
fill with
right?
things.
And I think both of us have been on this path. Obviously, we're so connected with that, but we found it also through like the meditation, like
Mm-hmm.
going into ourselves, like that doesn't take away. Again, we're talking about our faith. We're not talking like religion, organized,
Yeah.
all that stuff, because that is very separate. And I think we both, that's what made us uncomfortable before,
Mm-hmm.
because we both resisted, like, I don't want to be told by the man
Yeah.
what to do, because are they really lying to me like everything else? But now we have found,
They're trying to control me.
yes, trying to control me. Yeah. And then God help you with that one, right? But having the moments of, like, the stillness of the breath work, a lot of that, the meditation, the plant medicine. I mean, it shows you, like, it opens up so
Mm-hmm.
much inside of you, so you're able to connect
Yeah.
it all. And then you find, what the true source is of, us being here, instead of living, like you like to say, in the matrix, in like a
Mm-hmm.
simulated life. You,
Yeah.
you go and you're like standing, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You being in like nature, and being like in awe,
Mm-hmm.
because when you have those moments, now I'm practicing boredom. It's funny. I'm not listening to anything in the car, at least
Mm-hmm.
once during the day. I don't doesn't If I have my longest drive, I don't put anything on,
Oh, wow.
because I didn't realize how disconnect. No, think about this. I'm
Yeah.
like disconnected. I'm like, I refuse to not have like a book in front of me, have noise. I want to have a conversation, and then go
Mm-hmm.
to sleep. Like I. So now I'm like, okay, and then so a lot of that I found in my boredom. I'm not bored, but I'm talking to God. I'm like, oh, look how pretty that is. Oh, look at that. Or
Yeah.
I'll pray. I like to pray a lot for like humanity in general, because
Yeah.
I'm trying not to have pettiness. There's still a lot of that in me. There's moments that I have, it's impossible, but I like to do that, that I'm always asking a lot when I go to bed. My prayers are a lot about, forgive us all,
Mm-hmm.
not just me. Um, Trying to be just really grateful all day, constantly. I've talked about that. But in my boredom, I'm able to find God's voice,
Yes.
and then just kind of sit and be like, okay, it's okay. I'm okay. I have a little, I don't have it as bad, the anxiety with flying, but I was just in a flight the other day, and there was like some turbulence, and I remember my hands get kind of clammy,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, you know what, whatever, God. I said this. I was like, it's gonna be whatever it is, because I'm not gonna sit here and let my heart rate get all. What am I gonna do up here? And then it passed, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, thank you. Like, I was grateful right away that like my body felt like a release.
Yeah.
And I never had that before. Before, I was like, give me a freaking Xanax, give me something, because
I
I
have to
cannot.
fix this.
I
I'm
have to
trying.
fix it. I got it. Like, I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna do all the things. And now I'm like, I'm gonna put it in your hands, because you're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah.
For
Surrender.
all
You're like, here you go. I don't know, but
all of us that we're
figure it
down
out.
here, some of us, we're all doing, I don't know, the best we can. But it's such a good, I'm gonna call it, like, for me, I feel whole.
Mm-hmm.
And now I find that a lot of my prayers too are for me to be changed, and not for others to change.
Mm.
You know,
That's a big one.
for
Yes.
me to be like, that my forgiveness needs to be me, not like the constant, like, again.
Yeah.
They
Can you
should be
fix this
way.
person?
They
Because
should be that way, or the situations. It's
yeah.
like me, like, how do I react? And I guess it ties to the stoic things that we talk about, like, how
Mm-hmm.
it's me that I can only do for.
That I can only
And I
control.
can
Yeah.
ask God for that a lot, to change me, to use me in the best way. I've prayed a lot to give me the right words, to not because all
Yeah.
I've known is like that reactive part, that's
Yeah.
me in
Mm-hmm.
charge. And now I'm like, no, you come in and
Yeah.
guide me, and
And
let me
use me.
be
I
whoever
know.
I need to be, and not who I think I need to be.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
I know. I feel like the journey, and what you said too about, and maybe that's why in my 20s, or I could never really, I guess, hear him
Yeah.
or connect, because I never gave my ever
Yeah.
a moment of downtime.
Yeah.
I'd be at, at my apartment, let's say,
Yes.
right at
Yeah.
post college, and be like, okay, I'm calling people. What do you
Yes.
what do you want to do? Let's go
Yeah.
out. Let's do
Yeah.
something. Like, never really wanted to be alone with my thoughts, and I'm not sure why. It's not like I had bad thoughts. It was just this is boring. Let me fill my space
Yes.
with something
Yeah.
else. But I do think in those moments, especially I guess with meditation,
Yes.
that's where
And
I
the
learned it
stillness.
the most.
Yeah.
Now I understand why that's so important, because I think in that stillness is where you can feel that even whether you hear it or just feel the connection. Or man, I get amazing downloads. Like let's say it's a business question that I have, and usually I used to think like, oh well, God, you can talk about, thank you for this, I'm sorry for this, and can I have all of this? That was like my structure. Like it really
Oh
was.
my gosh.
But now, like, I'll just go through the day too. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
listening, I'm just like thanking him for like just the smallest things.
Of course.
And it's just amazing. But I think in that stillness, it's so important for people to just have those moments, whether it's meditation, whether it's now like I have Buddhist beads. Like I'm not any particular
Yes.
religion. I'm
And I
just
love that
a
about
lover
us.
of God.
Yes.
And
Yes.
all God's creations. And I try to, be nicer to people. And I try to, even like when people are rude at the checkout or wherever, it's like I try to see God in people. I'm like, man, I don't know what you're going through. And yeah, you're rude, but you know what? I'm going to give you a compliment because maybe that will like help lift you
And
up.
you
I
see-
think that is what love and what God's love is like. And I love, I get all religions, whether
Yes.
it's Muslim, Buddhist,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Christian.
I find them all beautiful.
I think it's all
Yeah.
so interesting. And I think it all has a main point, which is just be a good person.
Yeah.
And help people and love, and let's not judge, each other.
Of course not, because no, all of us are here and we're all suffering and going through it.
Yeah.
You know?
And nobody really knows what's exactly right or what's exactly wrong. And I think that's what would get me so much. I'm like, man, so many people fight about like your God is like this and my God's like this, or Jesus. It's like, just be good and like just be accepting. Like we don't all know exactly, but you can feel it. And that's, I think, to me, I guess the most important part.
Well,
It's, everybody's going to have their own journey with God.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
As well.
And there is your practice.
Yeah.
You're living it and doing it.
And surrendering.
Well, yeah, and remember, it's not giving up.
Yeah.
Because that's the fight in us that it's kind of like, but am I really going to just throw it out there and leave it there?
And I also think, and this is like for
Yeah.
people that right now, I feel like we're going through so much, right? In our society, with work, so many people getting laid off, that it feels tough and it feels tight and probably really scary. And giving that to God, or just like taking a moment to just remember that God's never, I think sometimes we get in our head with our own story. I lost, you lost a job. My money's running out of the bank. Like, and then you go to the story of, I'm about to be homeless. Like, I don't know, we're going to have no food. But in that moment, do you have food? Yes. Do you have shelter? And God, I feel like I've seen stories where it's like the certain amount of right money that the person happened to need at that moment when that person surrenders, right? And then it somehow comes some like random way.
Well, it's because he does. Because he has a way of fulfilling the promises.
Exactly.
I mean, and
He's
it
a
may not
promise
be in
keeper.
the way. Well,
I read that. And I was like, yes.
Well, it's because, and it's not the way we think it is.
Yeah.
Because that's the human part, right?
Yeah.
So then having the faith is really trusting that it's going to be, okay for you. And if whatever is going to have to be done, it's going to be done in God's way,
timing.
right? And timing. And
That
it
used
may
to be
not
so
look,
hard for
and
me.
we cannot predict how we can try to, like, a lot of that's what the Buddhist thing does for me, that I know that I'm like, you cannot try to keep controlling. It's like, you don't know what it will look like even tomorrow, tonight. It's just like, this is really now being in the presence, like, in your gratitude, starting with that, like being grateful because the situation is bad, but hey, what is the good still here?
Yeah.
Because we're not able to. When you're in it, you feel like, why
You're
me?
spiraling.
The me, like, and then it's looking out and being like, hey, well, there's the good in there, and you're gonna be okay. And putting your ego down,
Yeah.
and letting it kind of open yourself up to knowing that there's more, and it comes from having something to sustain you.
Yeah. And
You know?
I'm trying to see, I mean, sometimes it is
Yeah.
hard to see the good in something. Like, you
Yeah.
got let go, like you got fired. How is that good? But sometimes later
Yes.
down the road, months later, I usually feel like I will look at a situation, pretty much always, even if it was
Yeah.
a super horrible, I hate situation,
Yeah.
where I'm like, damn, that had to happen so that I wouldn't end up doing this other thing
Yes.
that probably would have been
Yeah.
done, that I would have done had that not happened, or whatever. And I'll give one example. So like, Sean, my husband,
Yeah.
he he fell the other day. Like, so it was middle of the night. He
Mm-hmm.
kind of got dizzy. We're in a hotel, and he fell, like, just, I guess, passed out because he got dizzy, and he shouldn't have walked. He should have sat. But,
But we know.
right? And hits his head, and it's like, it was the scariest thing, right? And we go to the hospital. Thank God, CT scan, everything is good in the brain. But it's taken a couple weeks for him to kind of get close to back to normal. And instead of being mad at the situation, obviously I was super scared, but I was like, main thing I started doing, I was like, I was praying. I was like, okay, he's breathing, like, we'll figure this out. You know, we get to the hospital, obviously, like, his blood works great. So, but now I can see, and I knew, and I was like, God, I know that maybe this happened for a reason. Maybe something else. Maybe we would have left really early that morning, and maybe we could have gotten in an accident, or maybe this was happening because he had to slow down. And I do think now, seeing that he's actually slowed down, and it was almost what he needed, I think, to even work more efficiently, because he works a ton. But giving himself those breaks, those moments, and even like our kids are graduating, so it's like giving your, you know, almost trying to see what are the opportunities or the beautiful part or the gifts from whatever was a scary or, you know, not great situation. And also being thankful. I'm like, God, now I'm extra thankful for having him around, and extra thankful for his health. It's things that you start to just take for granted.
Well, you do, because I was going to mention, like, so the happy times, people don't really think about too much.
Yeah.
Right? In the grand scheme of it, at our age, what sticks? What sticks that you're like, man, when I went through that, and then I got over it, and then and that like the hardships, I'm gonna call it, and the suffering, because of course there's health stuff, and we both know that, and it can be, you know, devastating, life changing. Doesn't mean because your faith is, but your faith will sustain you. Like, I have seen that, and I have witnessed it, and then it will hold you. So you having now your faith, it was able to put this all into perspective and let you see that, hey, this was a blessing from God, that he is safe, that you were together, you were in a place where you could get him seen on all that. And otherwise, you know, 10 years ago, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, sorry. But it's like, are you serious? Like, get up and let's move on.
Why'd you fall?
Yes,
like, I'd be mad. I'd be scared. I'd be sad.
Yeah,
It'd be
you
like
don't
a
even
lot
know
of,
what to do with it, right? And it's
and
like,
I probably would be mad at.
Yes,
like why would you let, like,
why would you let something happen to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's a lot of that too, that I realize now, that I'm not saying it's God doing it. I'm all like, it's down here.
Yeah.
We're the ones making the choices. We're the ones doing the stuff. And he is giving us the free will to be the people we need to be, right? Like, if shit happens, it's a lot of the bad stuff. It does happen because it's truly bad things can happen to all of us, guys.
Yeah.
But it's not to blame.
Yeah, I finally realized it's like a parent like us, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, your kid's growing up, they're 18 now, they're gonna make some choices.
Yes.
And almost like you want to love them, and you really want to help them, and you're like, I got the answer for you because I've lived it. Let me tell you.
Let me show you.
But also, you have to let them kind of fly and stumble and learn the lessons, and I think that's what he does for us. And then it's like, but I always got you. I'll always catch you, even when you don't know that your parent's there.
Yeah.
They always.
Oh, that's so beautifully said.
Let me cry. Thank you, God. No, for real.
But we are thankful.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now that we're here, we're in the season, that I'm grateful to God for that we can be together, going through doing it together, and seeing all the beautiful things in our lives, and knowing that, you know, things happen, and you know, we've got something more besides ourselves and our people.
Yes.
That can help us, you know, and give us comfort. Almost, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I could go to sleep, and that's all I could do for the day.
And I'm grateful, that we found our connection, and it's kind of cool, to go through it at the same time versus like you'd be younger asking me to go to church, and I'd be like, what? Well, I'm going out. No.
There's the resistance, guys.
But it's cool, and I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful for all our listeners too.
Yeah. So we hope that everybody, you know, find some time to get connected. That's it.
And have a good Resurrection Sunday.
Easter. We'll see you next
Easter.
time.
Say to Lulu and make it happen.
Bye.